call to order January Scott County School Board meeting. If you don't care, we're going to stand and have a moment's silence while we pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, thank everybody for coming tonight. The first agenda item, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Templeton. Members of the board, at this time, this is our organizational meeting for the calendar year 2022, in which we will select our chairman, vice chairman, clerk, and deputy clerk. At this time, I would ask members of the board for nominations for an individual to serve as chairman of Scott County Public Schools. School board. Nominate David Templeton.
I'll second.
We have a nomination and a second. Do we have any other candidates? Hearing none, all in favor of Mr. Templeton be elected chairman of Scott County School Board for the calendar year 2022, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Templeton. Mr. Chairman, I'll turn the meeting back over to you.
All right, we need to elect a vice chairman. You may have a motion to elect a vice chairman.
Nominate Steve Sally.
Okay, we got a motion from Mr. Hood for Mr. Sally being the vice chairman.
Second.
Mr. McConnell seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations, Steve. All right, now we're going to appoint a clerk. I'll make a motion for Miss Henderson, be your clerk of the court.
I'll second it.
All right, we got a motion, we got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, now we need to appoint a deputy clerk for the school board. I'll make a motion to appoint Sherry Christian.
Second.
Got a motion from me and a second from Mr. Sally. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, items to add to the agenda. Under Superintendent Report, under A, just sort of a misprint, we have approval of a budget committee for the year of 21-22. It's actually 22-23. So just a little typo. And we're going to add I to his report. It's an announcement of a school security grant. So unless you all have anything else to add to the agenda for today, I need a motion for approval as written.
Make that motion.
A motion from Mr. Sally.
Second.
And a second from Mr. Hood. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, if y'all had time to look at the meeting minutes from December, y'all had any questions, concerns, or anything about the last one? Got a motion from Mr. McConnell, got a second from Mr. Housewright. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, approval of claims. Y'all have any specific question toward bills for the month? December. If not, I need a motion for the approval of the claims.
I'll make that motion.
We got a motion from Mr. Sally. Second from Mr. Hood. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Approval of board meeting dates for of this year of 2022. There's a list there. Usually, unless it's a holiday, it's the first Tuesday of the month. If it's a holiday around the first of the month, we'll back it off to Thursday. I think that's basically about the way it is again. But we have changed them from time to time, and y'all got a concern about any of these meeting dates? Like to talk about it? If not, we can approve these board meeting dates. I'm gonna make a motion to approve these meeting dates for the year of 2022. Got a motion from me, got a second from Mr. McConnell. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, our next agenda item is public comment. If anybody wishes to address the board at this time, you can come to the podium. Please keep it 5 minutes, because we got a lot to talk about tonight.
Well, I'm Ron Edwards. I am
All right.
Brian Osborne's dad. I'm not his father, but I'm his dad. And I would like to have 9 minutes. I went over my speech and I worked on this, and
All right, as long as you,
I'll keep it moving as fast as I can.
all right.
Okay. I was told if I was passionate about Coach O, as the players call him, being dismissed, I should come and speak. I'm passionate about the Rycove Eagles. I'm passionate about my family, and I'm passionate about right and wrong. And I have sifted and sifted through his dismissal, and have not found anything right or more just about it. Maybe God is trying to reveal something here. Coach O took his program on when it was 1-29 over a 3 years period, pre-COVID. And Mr. Hood can attest how hard it is to win, because he was offense coordinator on the first 2 years. It was 0-20, and then the next year they was 1-29. So I doubt at that time if there were coaches lined up to take this position. Coach O took his job knowing it would be an uphill battle to turn the program around. Like when he was in high school, he would come home after basketball practice and shoot ball in the rain or snow until 10 to 10:30 at night, knowing the odds were against him of having significant playing time. I asked him different times to come in when the weather's bad, but he wouldn't. This was the way he was with his football team. He never quit working, never said, "I'm ready to give up on," or quit on the boys. As Coach Freddie Crabtree told a young coach, hard work doesn't guarantee wins, just keep working. His record that first year was 4-6 after the program had produced 1 win in those 3 years. His second year was 4-6 again, but possibly could have been 6-4 with a couple breaks. Then COVID-19 hit and has changed the world as we know it. The team was forced to play a limited early spring, late winter schedule. Coach O started a normal fall football schedule with about 2/3 the amount of players on a typical roster for Rye Cove. After the first game, a high school official told me it was going to be a long, hard year for Rye Cove with such a small roster. I responded with that by saying, nothing can go wrong for them to have any success, but we know that doesn't happen with football. So I sat in the stands that year and thought many times, if I was someone that wanted to move Coach O, what perfect time this would be. The roster is depleted, no fault of Coach O's, and the team is losing. So this is the time to take action, because a number of good athletes will be in next year in the 9th grade and will be on varsity. So I can bring in a new coach and he wins. I can make Coach O look bad, or if I don't make a move, he will start winning. I can't have that. After Coach O was dismissed, it devastated him along with our whole family. And for what? My wife and I lay in bed on many sleepless nights, and she asked, do they realize the impact of this decision and the pain they have brought on our family? And the Lord knows we've had our share. How would they feel if this was their son or daughter, she asked. Our grandson, which is Coach O's son, is a football player on the team, as good a kid as I've been around, and there are many good kids at Right Coach. I asked how did this happen, basically one person behind it. We're all adults here, we know most of what went down, so I'll ask our school board district representative, Mr. Hood. He can answer that question. We all feel betrayed, not because one school board member wanted him to be dismissed, but by the board members that supported this. Our family not only felt betrayed, but I came quite angry, and I sure don't like being like that. So I began to seek some answers as to why this happened. After numerous phone calls, one board member stated it came down to low numbers on the roster and stopping the game at halftime of the league high contest. Well, I would ask you this question. Did anybody question as why there were so few players on the roster, or did anybody ask why the contest was stopped at halftime? Did anybody talk to the principal, the athletic director, Mr. Ferguson, or Mr. Smith about what was going on in the football program, which Coach O brought in and talked to the administration? One school board member did text early in November and stated that he would set up a meeting with all the football coaches, but that meeting never happened. So I did some research as to why there were low numbers on the football team. 3 players held back in the 8th grade. 1 player lacerated his kidney in practice for the first game. 1 junior quit to work. 2 juniors were declared ineligible. 1 junior tore his ACL during the season. That left 1 junior on the team. 1 player that started as a freshman switched schools and didn't play at the new school. 1 player broke his collarbone as a freshman and didn't play any sports again. Had 7 sophomores and 1 quit after season started in the 10-day quarantine. Had 6 freshmen and 4 seniors on the team. 2 seniors quit, one to work, and the other concentrated on basketball. So here are some numbers to consider. No juniors on the basketball team, so that means none will be on those seniors next year on the basketball team. There'll be 2 juniors next year, possibly 1 sophomore, and the rest freshmen. No sophomores on this year's baseball team, last year's baseball team, which means no juniors on the baseball team this year. Is that any fault of them, the coaches? The thing about Coach O, he encourages the board to come out and play football, but he won't make false promises. He won't promise them all district, all state, or something else to come out and play. He will just give them a chance to be on a team and be treated fairly. That's more than I can say Coach O has been done. Now, that's why he did discontinue the game at halftime of the league high contest. They had played 3 games in 9 days, and that is hard on a roster if you had 35 boys. That's hard on anybody. He played with a depleted roster. With 8 minutes to go in the second game, a player asked to come out for a breather. He said, I can't give you one. There's no one to go out. We're down to 11 players. Because they had started with 14. 2 kids had stingers and 1 had a back spasm. That occurred early in the game. Game 3. A first-time starter hurt his arm. At halftime, 2 players had concussion symptoms. 1 ended up being a severe concussion and neck sprain. That left the team with 8 sophomores and freshmen out of the remaining 11 players to finish the game. Coach O made the decision to stop the game for the welfare of the players. He made that decision to stop the game, even though this would be used against him. He stated that he was going, if he was to be dismissed over doing the right thing, let them do it. I ask you, how many people in this room would be willing to lose a position or a job over doing something right? I think he showed he was more of a man than most people. And that's who I would want my kids and grandkids to be coached by. But the season didn't end there. They had the JV team formed out of varsity freshmen, sophomores, and 1 junior, and the 8th graders. They played 3 games against much larger schools with plenty of big-sized boys, the same, but they was the same age group. The JV team, which was coached by Coach O and his staff, pretty much dismantled the opposing teams. I think it's a terrible decision, removing Coach O at this point and not letting him taste any success with the football after 15 years of hard work at the school. He has taken on about any job that's asked of him, usually that no one else would do. He has coached some JV basketball teams in the lean years, knowing there were few, if any, victories to be had. Helped coach 3 sports in 1 year, and how much time is that required to be away from your family doing this? I don't think y'all realize as a school board what an adverse effect this will have on Rocco now and later down the road. But this is what you could find Coach O guilty of. If you don't find guilty, it's loving his school, his players, preparing them to be better individuals, spending time at the school in the summer from early morning to late in the evening, working on the field house, and opening the weight room for his boys. During the season, he usually leaves the field house around 4:30 in the morning on game nights after he stays and washes his uniforms. On weeknights, after practice, it's usually 9 or 10 o'clock at night, because he said, I want their garments clean for them the next day. I don't want them putting on nasty garments. Not many coaches would do that. Coach O was also attending football clinics in other states to help him to be a better coach. What Coach O does for these kids is not always seen on Friday night. And I ask you this question here, will it be the same for a new coach in and win some games next year as it would with Coach O? He has put his time in. Would it mean as much to the players who have stuck with him through the rough times? I think it would mean something to them for winning for Coach O. But I've seen this happen time and time again. When there's talent in numbers, everybody wants to coach. And then the numbers and talent drops off, and the coach wants to quit and spend more time with his family. So in conclusion, I don't think his dismissal was about what Coach O did or didn't do. If he had done something wrong or laid down on the job and let the wheels run off, I wouldn't be here talking to you tonight. I think this was more of a personal vendetta against him, or even somebody wanting their pile in his coach. But I thought as a school board, a school board should be held to a higher standard than this. But please don't let me tell me this dismissal is best for Rocco High or the football players. And I thought Coach O's reputation might take a hit with an article in the newspaper. A school board member stated that wasn't their responsibility, the article, but I say to that, you can't pour a 5-gallon can of gasoline out on level ground and expect it to stay in one spot. The fact of the matter is, I believe the reputation of the school board and some individual members may have taken a greater hit. I have asked myself, and you need to do the same, what is the role of this school board? Is it to rule with absolute power and not involve anybody in administration and decision making or searching for the truth? This has caused a stink and chill at Rye Cove like I've never felt in 50 years since I've been associated with the school. With that being said, I'll ask you, several of y'all got family members and coaches and stuff, would y'all vote for y'all's kid to be removed? If for the same situation I asked you, would y'all vote for them to be removed? And I know Mr. Trousdale's got people. I know Mr. Gilwater's got Miss Gilwater. I know you've got Mr. McConnell. If you had the same circumstance, I asked you, would you vote to have them removed? I will ask this right here. I would like each faculty member and each student at RICO be treated fairly. That's what I think it's about. But I also want my boy, Coach O, to be treated fairly and just. And I ask you, 6 board members, when you go in closed door session tonight, to search your heart and soul and for you are making a fair, honorable, and just decision, because there's always the 7th one in the room. And rarely have I ever seen anything come out of a situation based on alternative motives, whether it's be in the family, at work, or school, or even church, turn out good. I retired this past year after nearly 44 years on the job, wanting to chase grandkids and go to their ball games. Retirement started with a lot of excitement, but I don't feel any excitement right now. The situation has inflicted a lot of pain on our entire family, which is surely we didn't need. But I close with this. What is the gain in this situation? What's the gain? Thank you for your time.
Anyone else? And that 9 minutes is about 15, so.
Did you say 15?
No, it'll be 5. It'll be 5 this time. We got other things.
I lost 10.
I'm not saying this ain't important, but we gotta be.
My name's Martin Sloan. I'm a former player at Rock Cove High School. I give a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for that program up there. As a lot of you all know, I had a twin brother named Biggin. Coach Crabtree called us Biggin and Little. We put in a lot of hours on that football field, and our coaches put in a lot of hours on that football field. And all it boils down to is pride. You gotta have pride. You gotta have kids to believe in you. You gotta have kids that will walk through fire for you. You gotta have kids that will believe in you. That's what it boils down to. No quit. I've seen Coach Crabtree stay up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning studying film for the next game. If there wasn't no quit in that man. As y'all know, he's passed away recently. But he was a mentor. I loved that man. And all the coaches that I had through high school, they were about the kids. Simply the kids. And I've got one thing here that is not bashing anybody, but I read it in it's in the Scott County Star, but they didn't write it. It's called about the hog. I don't know if y'all read it or not, but it says, here's a sampling of the hog articles that upset Rock Cove former principal Reagan Mullins and Cheyenne Osborne. As side vote, we did cover their home game with Twin Valley on October 25th, 2013, because Mullins, he didn't want Rex on the sidelines. So basically, I asked him not to come back to cover high school football at Rock Cove again. So to me, that has to do with freedom of speech. So, you know, you can make up your mind, but I think as some of you guys are coaches, you know what it's like to put in 18, 20 hours on that football field. I've actually climbed a drain pipe at Rock Cove to climb in the gym to work out. You know, you see a big old guy like me climbing a drain pipe to break in the gym to work out. That's how much I love football. And Coach Crabtree told me later on, all I had to do was ask him for a key. But guys, I just ask you to vote your confidence, you know, in what you think's right to head this school in the right direction. We've not done what we need to do for the last 10 years. It also goes down to revenue for the school. I think it brings in a lot of money, a good program. I can remember when I played, they was 5 and 6 deep on the sideline. And it boils down to, you know, pride in your program. And that's all I've got to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for letting us speak. My name is Mike Rhodes. I'm the head football coach at Eastside High School, fellow Cumberland School. I wanted to come tonight to talk to the board about Cheyenne and what kind of man he is and how much respect that he has from his peers in our conference. The things that he does do, his dad touched on some. I mean, Coach House, I know you know, and some of you other guys know, it's not a 9-to-5 job. You know, we're there all hours of the night. We're working on fields. We're painting fields. We're doing laundry. And we're not doing those things for the wins and losses. We're doing those things for the kids. And Cheyenne Osborne epitomizes that. And I don't know the ins and outs, what's going on behind the scenes, but I know what he's done for the football at Rock Cove since he's come back his second stint. 4 and 6, 2 years after 1 and 29. COVID, we all suffer from COVID. I'm at the biggest school in the district, and we suffer from COVID. Our numbers are down. from 40s to high 20s, low 30s. So it's not just a Rye Cove problem to get the kids out. He talked about the attrition that they had. I mean, it's a different generation, you know, and the kids, we're trying to get the kids out. But you have to also take into effect that we had a football season in April. We were off maybe a month, 2 months for a shortened baseball season. And went right back into weightlifting. Kids, coaches, I mean, everybody was tired. So for some kids not to come back out, that's got to be, I mean, you got to expect some of that. But he never quit. He's never given up on his program. You know, he's done things in school. I know he's given up his AD, his planning period. He's rebuilt the program. Like his dad said, the 8th and 9th grade, they have 25 some of our kids. We don't have 25 kids coming up in the 8th and 9th grade. And again, we're the biggest school in the county. And it's not because the kids aren't coming out, it's because our numbers are going down and we don't have that many boys. And we have kids holding back. I mean, it translates to the further. So the last regime, you know, they had that. Now he's trying to build that back up. And he's got numbers coming. You know, I think his dad also spoke about the sophomore class. There's nobody in any sport. So you can't hold that against him for not getting kids out. And last but not least, coaching, one of the biggest things other than the relationships with the kids and the community is loyalty. It's loyalty. Cheyenne Osborne is Rock Cove High School. He's bled Navy and gold his entire life. He came back and took over a program when it was in bad state. And he's worked his tail off to get it back to where it is. He's laid a foundation. For him not to be able to put the walls and the roof on it, it just doesn't seem right. Thank you guys for your time.
My name is Nick Johnson. I'm the head football coach at Thomas Walker High School. Again, same district as Coach Osborne. I'm not going to take 5 minutes. Hopefully what I can say will be quick. Just wanted to come on behalf of Coach Osborne because of what kind of man he is. Went to college with him, known him for 20 years. Just to kind of touch on what Coach Rhodes said, he bleeds Navy and gold. It's his life. He could have been here right now fighting to protect himself, but instead he's coaching a JV game because he knows that's what's more important. Guys, it's hard being a coach. I've been a coach for 16 years. It doesn't get easier. I had 30 kids on my roster this year. I know Coach Osborne's father talked about playing 3 games in 9 days with a 14-man roster. We played 3 games in 8 days with a 30-man roster. My kids were dead. It's not easy. The things that we have to deal with at a small school, it's not easy. And it's harder when we got people fighting against us. I don't know what's going on. It's none of my business, none of my concern. What is my concern is the fact that I love this guy like a brother. I've known him for 20 years. I know what kind of person he is. I know what kind of man he is. He is a good coach. He loves these kids. And for somebody to say that there's no pride, no fire in these kids, I can promise you these kids love Coach Osborne. If he told them, they'd charge hell with a water pistol. That's how much they'd fight for him. They would have went back out and played Lehigh with 12 kids. But he wouldn't do it because it wasn't safe for them. So he's a great coach. He's built a great foundation for this program. But he's a better father and a better husband and a better role model for these kids. I've heard names of who could be the next coach if Coach Osborne's let go. And the name that I'm hearing, I'm good friends with him too. I'm going to support him any way I can. It's not about not supporting somebody or supporting somebody. It's about what's right. Coach Osborne deserves to continue to be the head coach because of all the work that he has put in. So, thank you guys for your time.
My name is Jonathan Howell. I'm a student at Rye Cove, and I'm a player of Coach O's. And I can tell you firsthand that the win-loss ratio doesn't reflect what kind of coach a person is. It's what kind of work he does for the players, the sacrifices he makes, and how good of a role model he is for everyone he's out there for. He's made so many sacrifices I couldn't even count it. He's done every single thing he can to put us in the best possibility put us in the best situation to win. These last 2 seasons that he's been head coach, he's not been put in a situation for anyone to succeed. It's hard, but he hasn't given up. He always told me to fight for what I believe in, and this right here is what I believe in. I think he deserves another opportunity to try to lead the team to be what it can be. He's going to have numbers coming up next year that he's going to, I think we can turn the team around. He's not only a great coach, but he is an even better man. He's one of the most inspirational people I've ever met. He's a role model for everyone. He does every single possible thing he can to just give us a good time. He's not only given us a team, but he's made us a family. He's made us close. He's given us something to fight for. Thank you so much.
My name is Michael Edwards, as most of you know. My wife asked me not to speak tonight, so honey, I'm sorry. 2 years ago, I ran to have a seat here at this table. It was nothing against Gail, who's in my district. I think he's a fine person, and he knew that. I was approached by numerous teachers asking me if I'd be interested, and I prayed on it, decided I would, because they know I've spent a lot of time in the community trying to help our youth in different ways. I've been a PTO president down at Duffield. It boiled down to that. I like trying to give my heart and soul into our community and trying to see it succeed. Second biggest reason that I ran, knowing who would most likely win District 6. And I'm sorry, I've known since 2011 you have an axe to grind. And you was finally able to wield it. That's disappointing. Very disappointing. Yes, it hurt to see that team not be able to complete a game and complete a season. But when you've been around the program, from Little League on up, I knew the numbers was going to be super tight this year. The junior and senior classes never had very many football players in it, period. Then you take kids holding back into the 8th grade again. That's their prerogative. I wish my daughter had held back the year before, because last year, no fault of teachers, no fault of the school system, was the worst education year ever. But it's nobody's fault. We've done the best we could as a county. I fully believe that. It's nobody's fault. But it was a great year to hold back for. But the right thing here is not going to take place. And that don't mean what's going to happen is wrong. As far as Coach Johnson here, he didn't want to say a name. I mean, when you go and approach 8, 9 different coaches, some of them in the district, while their season's still going on, and try and say, hey, will you come be the Rye head football coach? It's not the right way this should take place. I have coaches that the last time the job was open called me to ask me what's going on, because I know a lot of people. They respect me for my officiating, and they know that I know what goes on at Rye because I volunteer my time there. Keeping stats for different sports, coaching different sports. I'm around those people. And I'm going to support, we know Gary Collier is probably who's going to be named the head coach tonight. It's not exactly a secret. And I will support him. It's not a knock on Gary. This is his fault that we're all here tonight. All here. Very few that's on the other side that is wanting the change. Most of us are here in support of Cheyenne Osborne, because he is a good man who's worked his tail off and has had 2 of the most successful seasons as a Rocco head coach in football since 2008, and he was a defensive coordinator and basically was being groomed to be given the job the next year, basically as an acting head coach in the most successful season they've had since 2008, which was 2011. So I come here and support Cheyenne. He was my center and left tackle. Although we're not blood, we are family. And I want what's best for Rocco as a whole, not just football, not just athletics. I want what's best for the county as a whole. If I would have won that seat, I'd be doing what's best for Rye Cove. I'd try to do what's best for Twin Springs and do what's best for Gate City. We should be doing what's best for the entire county. Thank you all very much. Have a great evening.
Anyone else? Please address the board as the board.
Yeah, sorry. My name's Mark Rollins. Most of you probably know me. I'm not here tonight to say anything about Cheyenne. His integrity, his character is without question. I don't think that's an issue. I live about a mile from Rye Cove High School. I've been playing sports there since I was 5 or 6 years old. I had 2 boys that played there. I volunteer coached there for 7 years. Point being is I have a vested interest in the sports at Rye Cove, all sports. I want to see them all succeed. You guys as a group typically hear all the complaints when people are mad, when they're angry, when they're upset. They call you and you get an earful. And I'm just here tonight to speak for the community, for the alumnus, overwhelming majority of which are highly in favor of change. And the community is going to support that, and the alumni is going to support it, and they're asking you to make that change. And, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So I just say let's stop the insanity and make a change. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, we could take a minute or 2 break, unless if anybody wants to leave. If not, we have more business to tend to, and but you're welcome to stay. But you can leave too when we start on this. All right, we want to move on to the Superintendent Report. I'm going to hand it over to Mr. John Ferguson.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The first item I have here is, in years past, we have assigned the Budget Committee this present budget year that we are presently in, school year 2021-22. Mr. Templeton and Mr. Sally have served on that. So I'm asking for recommendations, unless they want to continue in that fashion, for the 2022-23 school year to serve on that budget committee.
I don't care to still do that, but I know some individuals might want to get some more knowledge on how the budget stuff works. I don't care to let somebody else do it, but
I don't know if I'm gonna be available.
all right.
Since y'all have my back.
I don't care to know.
Mr. Templeton has agreed. As well as Mr. Templeton, I guess we need to take it.
We can take the vote together for Mr. Templeton and Mr. Sal. There just need to be a motion and a second.
I'll
make the motion, Mr. Templeton and Mr. Sal.
They got a motion from Mr. Hood. Second. Got a second from Mr. McConnell. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Of course, me and Steve couldn't vote.
Thank you. Next item we have is a representative for the Insurance Committee for the calendar year 2022. Mr. McConnell, when you came on board with the last round of elections, you're there for life. So, and then we have a second committee member who serves on a yearly basis. Last year, Mr. Hood served in that capacity. And what I mean by life is during his tenure as school board member. Mr. Hood served this past year, calendar year 2021, in that capacity on a yearly basis. Do we have a volunteer to serve in that capacity on the one-year calendar term? Unless Mr. Hood wants to serve in that capacity again.
I can, was Coach Housewright want to?
I'll go ahead and let Mr. Hood.
Need to get a motion.
Need a motion and a second.
For both of them?
You can vote on them together. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion for Mr. McConnell and Mr. Hood to be represented for the insurance committee for the year 2022.
I'll say.
So we got a motion from me and a second from Mr. Sally. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Next item we have is our school allocations. This is the third quarter. We will have another set of allocations to go out during the month of March. Unless there's any particular questions in regards to these amounts, I ask your approval as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Got a motion from Mr. Housewright and a second from Mr. McConnell. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Next item we have is the November 2021 financial report for the Scott County Public School Head Start program. Unless there's any particular questions in regards to this financial report, I ask your approval as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Sally made the motion, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next item we have is, again, a financial report from Head Start. This is August 2021. This is the final version of this particular report. Unless you have any questions in regards to this, I ask your approval as presented. Make the motion.
Motion. Got a motion from Mr. McConnell, second from Mr. Sally. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next item we have is an addendum to the staff qualifications for the Head Start program, which will be found under the personnel as well as procedure, I can't even say the word tonight, procedure manual of the Head Start program. Unless there's any particular questions in regards to this addendum, I ask your approval as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Mr. Housewright,
Second.
second from Mr. Sally. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next item we have is for informational purposes. This is the quarterly fall report of the Scott County Head Start program. Does anyone have any questions in regards to it? Again, this is for informational purposes. The last item we have dealing with Head Start is the Director's Report for the month of December 2021. Does anyone have any questions in regards to it? And the last item that I have, I've received notification December 30th about an announcement that was made through the Department of Education. Over $12 million were allocated to school divisions throughout the Commonwealth in school security grants. Scott County, when we wrote our grant, we did ask for $72,596.22. We were fortunate enough, however, during this grant process, we didn't receive the amount that we requested, but of that, we will be able to use $58,082 toward upgrading our camera systems within our schools. And you'll have a copy of the application itself and the request, but I wanted to share that with you. To date, since school security grants have become available, from 2013 up to this current school year, we have received over $597,041.26 in school security funding. So I'm very proud of that fact. I wish it was more, but we'll take anything we can get. Does anyone have any questions in regards to that announcement? Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that's all that I have.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. My understanding, we need to go into closed meeting.
Yes, I move that we enter into closed meeting to discuss candidates for employment and assignment, performance of Head Start personnel, teachers, coaches, and secretaries as provided in section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia as amended.
Second. Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're going to adjourn for a moment.